I've never built walls like these before. Perhaps because it would have been difficult to come up with this option without some experience in ultra-cheap construction. These walls are 100% free of thermal bridges. They don't let cold winds blow through. They can be built in Sochi and Yakutia, in Odessa, and Vitebsk in Astana and Tashkent. You just need to choose the right core thickness. These walls are also suitable for renovating old houses and summer cottages. If the gable has worn through, don't worry. There's an easy fix. It lasts over 50 years. They won't warp like walls made from finicky wood. You don't need to constantly paint them with antiseptic. Insects are indifferent to them. Mold won't penetrate them. All the materials for a large wall will fit in the trunk of a regular car. Installing windows in such walls takes just minutes, and the warm, almost cost-free trims not only decorate the facade, but also serve as warm quarters, increasing the thermal efficiency of windows and doors. I hope this information will be very useful to many people for the new construction season. Hello everyone, let's go through everything step by step. I had a little bit of Penoplex comfort left over, 3 centimeters thick, and out of habit, I started roughening up the sheets with a saw blade for wood that I had removed from its handle. After previous successful solutions in creating walls that are 90% made of Penoplex, strong and warm walls, reliable, immediately insulated roofing material, I definitely decided to continue using it. But I just couldn't come up with an idea for how to quickly and easily insulate the existing sidewalls of the second semi-attic floor with it. The wall has pre-installed homemade windows. The first window has a homemade double glazed unit and the sash features double sealing. I made it from a ready-made timber, so I did without any machines at all. The second one is probably the simplest window you could possibly make. It's made from store-bought door frame blanks. It will be necessary to refresh the varnish. The blanks were already varnished, but not with care. In short, they're store-bought. The condition of the window that I painted myself hasn't changed over the years of use. The boards of the side walls are mounted with an overlap. This way, I was able to use low-quality lumber. When I was building these walls, I didn't really think about how I would insulate them later. I only started thinking about it now. They can be insulated using the technology for building frame houses with mineral wool, but you need a windproof membrane, and it's unclear how to attach it when the exterior boards are already nailed on. You need to install mineral wool insulation, which must be covered from the inside, with boards, oriented strand board panels, or something similar. You'll also need a vapor barrier film. Because of the loose fit of the wool, draft and dampness can occur. Warm, moist air from inside can get into the wool, make it damp, and reduce its insulating properties. Wool tends to settle, and condensation and mold can form as well. Penoplex can replace mineral wool, eliminating the need for wind protection and vapor insulation. Unlike wool, Penoplex is not permeable to air and absorbs little moisture. Over the past years, I've gained some valuable experience using extruded polystyrene foam. For lightweight structures, there are better insulation methods than simply placing extruded polystyrene foam between the board and oriented strand board. That's why I decided to take apart the wooden cladding. Confident in the project's success, I bought another pack of Penoplex Comfort and a few other items after the idea finally came to me. If you can't get the rough extruded polystyrene, which is called Penoplex Stina, right away, it's not a problem. With just a few simple moves, you can easily make it from the smooth Penoplex Comfort. I'm temporarily taking apart the balcony terrace floor, which by the way is about 90% Penoplex. I brushed the frame elements, where the new wall will be attached with a wire brush. Only the light frame from the old wall remains. The new, highly energy-efficient wall will be built using almost no wood. Polyurethane construction adhesive sets faster if you slightly moisten the surface, not to the point of dripping, just a little bit. Wood is a decent material, but it's very susceptible to environmental influences. Boards twist, warp, and get eaten by insects. Boards need to be treated quite often with protective and antiseptic compounds, which are expensive themselves, and applying them properly is no fun. I temporarily secure the glued sheet using self-tapping screws so we can proceed to the next one immediately. When you don't have much experience in construction and you build something, you think that once you've covered the wall with boards, it's almost a finished wall. Guys, a wall like that is only suitable for a shed or perhaps the gable of an unheated attic, but nothing more. Of course, this kind of work is very rewarding because there was nothing, and then suddenly there's a wall, and if there are walls, it seems like there's already a house. However, converting a wall like that into an insulated residential wall requires investment and hard work. And in order to spend and work as little as possible, I came up with a wall option where only a light frame is made of wood. When my project House for $1,000 was conceived, the plan was to achieve a record low cost, including by using all sorts of junk. I dragged everything useless into the yard, including a plastic box and an unfinished plastic door for it. The box can stay for now, but should be disposed of eventually. I'll give it to someone as a gift. Now, the focus is not on using free junk, but on applying ultra-cheap construction technologies that are being developed in the process. A solid layer of Penoplex creates a thermos effect, protecting the house from the cold in winter and the heat in summer. In construction and gardening, I'm not used to wearing specially bought work clothes. Why spend money if I have old but durable and very comfortable clothes? I use them for building, ensuring my wife's well-being with the landscape, working on landscaping, mowing, cleaning garden tools, and doing a lot of other dirty jobs. And only after catching my breath from the dust of gardening and construction battles and changing clothes do you realize how dirty your work clothes get. Work clothes don't necessarily mean they're completely filthy. I opted to skip marking the window openings to save time. Cutting them out later will be quicker. The more evenly you can glue the sheets together in one plane, the more you'll be able to save in the future. Gluing the Penoplex sheets to the frame posts is actually a really satisfying job. You can see very quickly that you've completed a solid chunk of work. To avoid messing up the angle without a protractor, I press the sheet against the slope. I measure the distance from the bottom of the slope to the sheet. Remember it? And measure the same distance from the top, starting from the sheet's edge. Then I cut off the excess. Everything is precise, just like in a pharmacy. I like to comment on my work, how to do it better and how to make things easier. There's nothing to say here, as the work couldn't possibly be any simpler or easier. Since my project House for $1,000 has been going on for quite a while now, I want to quickly remind you what it's all about. I aim to construct a 2-story, 50 square meter compact house with a budget of no more than $1,000 for all materials. In Russian rubles throughout the project, this amount fluctuates somewhere between 60 and 120,000 rubles. In our Belarusian rubles, the amount ranges from 2 to 3,500 rubles. To avoid confusion, I chose a currency that is unfamiliar to many but less volatile. I don't like dollars anymore. If I keep savings in them, it's just a habit. I've started changing my ways. With a firm step, we move toward a bright future. Not much time has passed, and it seems that a lot has already been accomplished. I'm finishing up the missing sheets. The glue has set, so the screws are unnecessary. Another benefit of this approach is that fasteners aren't required permanently. There's always an ongoing debate about which screws can be used and which can't. Yellow, white, or black. The question is whether a frame assembled with black screws can be reliable or not. Personally, I'm in favor of black screws, but only from trusted manufacturers. This isn't an advertisement for black screws. If there are no screws, there's no doubt about which ones are better. I recently realized that the defective plastic door that was planned for this spot is way too big for my compact build. So I'm leaving the opening for the new door smaller. I already have an idea for how to make a great homemade door for next to nothing. And since it will be homemade, I don't need to stick to any standard door opening sizes. I'll fit it to any size. For now, the wall is still see-through. To those unfamiliar, it may appear to be a risky venture. A snag. The Polotsk mesh failed me for the first time. Despite the sharp knife, the mesh unravels into fibers. I don't like that. I had to dig into my old supplies. It's also Polotsk mesh, but it cuts completely differently. Polotsk stekadlovolokno. Stop cutting corners. Make it the way you always used to. It's convenient to temporarily fix the mesh with self-tapping screws. I'll overlap the mesh layers by at least 10 centimeters. I mark lines to show the mixture application height for each stage. The hardest part of building a wall like this is carrying a 25-kilogram bag up to the second floor. There are many good insulation mixes available in stores. I haven't encountered any bad ones from any manufacturer so far. The adhesive sticks very well to the roughened Penoplex, so the work is very simple and easy, and even without plastering skills, it's easy to do. Since the thickness of the reinforcing layer is only a few millimeters, the surface flatness tolerance does not exceed a few millimeters either. When plastering a wall made of blocks or bricks, you need beacons, a professional plasterer, or ideally both. Plus, you have to dance around such a professional. I don't work with that. I don't do it that way. And of course, you have to pay a lot of money for the work. But this way, you do everything yourself without rushing in the fresh air, feeling like you're bringing your own ideas to life. The materials are very friendly for us, beginner amateur builders, and it's just impossible not to succeed. This part is still see-through, but this one isn't. The floor ceiling made of Penoplex is lightweight, but for my purposes, it's strong enough. I had a feeling there would be changes to my ultra-economical project, so I decided not to finalize them at the last moment. With the right plaster mesh, it's very easy to work, so I don't have to strain myself too much. I make small batches. So there's no doubt about how simple everything is. Sometimes I show moments in real time. Recently, various construction companies have become more active. Certified architects and other experts are trying to criticize the construction method using Penoplex. Methods that gain popularity with people are often disliked by businesses. They shout that they are the smartest, that they have a construction education. You do need a construction education to build skyscrapers, tunnels, and bridges. But to build a house or a country cottage for one family to live in, you just need a bit of common sense. And almost everyone has this. Humanity has developed for millions of years without architects and engineers, so it's genetically embedded in us. Everyone wants to eat and tries to make themselves seem more valuable. By the way, my specialty is electronic engineering, but I've never worked in my field. I entered the Polytechnic in the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, but received my diploma in Belarus. The collapse in the 90s turned everything upside down, causing engineers to lose their prestige. Now, we can only envy Chinese engineers who create masterpieces available to everyone, not just special design bureaus. The first part of the wall is drying out actively. I haven't even used up a whole bag of mix for all of this yet. Everything is very economical. I finished everything before the rain started. I'm moving to the inside of the wall. It's even easier here, since I'm reinforcing with even smaller pieces. The finished attic will have a loft style with an exposed rafter system, so the open wooden frame elements won't stand out from the style. Another huge advantage of this kind of wall is the complete absence of thermal bridges, since the warm wall is installed over the frame. Despite the seemingly small thickness of the chosen Penoplex Comfort, it achieves the same thermal efficiency as dry wooden beams, 17 centimeters thick, or a brick wall 2.5 bricks thick. I personally saw a countryside house being built with 10 centimeter thick beams. Now they live there happily, they just have to heat it a little more. A house for $1,000 will be almost twice as energy efficient. And what do you think about this way of applying the method? For example, you live in an old house with wooden gables, or you have a well-worn country cottage. The gable boards have been hit hard by time. They've dried out and split. Snow blows in through the cracks in winter and rain in summer. The attic insulation gets damp, keeping the house cold. To replace a wooden gable, you need to find decent boards somewhere. Somehow transport them. If they're not planed, plane them with a machine. Then, like an acrobat, climb around, fit each board, carefully paint them. A nightmare. In this option, to make a gable from innovative homemade material, you need very compact components: Penoplex, plaster mesh, and a compound for reinforcement. You can find all of this at your nearest hardware store. It fits in both a Maybach and a Moskvich. Even a couple of trips with a gardener's cart can transport all the materials if you don't have a Moskvich car yet. Gables or walls like these are expected to last a minimum of 50 years or more, which is the minimum service life of Penoplex. The main component of the plaster mix is cement, and the base of the mesh is glass. Basically, these are eternal materials. All the components are environmentally friendly and safe for your health. In houses intended for permanent residence, it is recommended to choose the correct thickness of insulation. The effectiveness depends on the region, maximizing its impact. Penoplex provides high energy efficiency, reduces heating costs, eliminates thermal bridges, gaps, drafts, and dampness. No one forbids using extruded polystyrene foam that is 5 or 10 centimeters thick. It's even easier to build with. In my experiment, only the chosen budget and the lack of need for heavy insulation for a house that's not meant for permanent living prevent this. Why make very solid walls in a countryside house where you only live from time to time? It's more economical on the days you stay there to simply not save on heating. I'm not advocating for Soviet power, but during the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, it blew through every crack and it was warm. They just heated well. Even with only 4 centimeter thick wall beams, barrel saunas, which I spent years making, provide a steaming experience as good as saunas made from the finest thick beams. All you need is a stove with a little extra power. But of course, when you're building a house for permanent living and heating isn't as cheap as it was during the Soviet times, you have to use different calculations. On the previous wall, made of boards overlapping in a herringbone pattern, I didn't even know how to reasonably attach the trim. No matter how I tried to fit it, it looked shoddy. With this option, I immediately had an idea. In a wall without thermal bridges, I decided to use unique warm trims, which would also serve as window and door casings. Protecting the vulnerable joint between the frame and the wall from freezing, I aligned the height of the door with the windows. The Penoplex base for the trims and casings is installed in just a few minutes. After ensuring everything is in order, I cut out the second window. The cutout pieces will be repurposed, as I already have a plan for them. Installing windows in these walls is a real pleasure. In hot weather, you can use an affordable air conditioner at home. Modern units can also provide heat, with 1 kilowatt sufficient for 3 people. It's a beautiful, authentic Belarusian terem, not just an inexpensive house. After some practice, I'm prepared to show the simple process of creating warm window frames just like everything else. The work is a bit meticulous, but the window frames end up being almost free in terms of cost. And they look like they're made from something massive, from thick boards, or even from hewn stone. You can give them any finish you desire, even a marble-like appearance. The key is not to overdo it so a house worth $1,000 doesn't look like one worth $1 million. Just imagine how much hassle there is with wooden window trims. High-quality wooden trims are very expensive, and low-quality ones look shabby. There are obvious savings on the window trims. Penoplex is a material with dozens of different uses, but what can you really expect from window trims? They just need to be there. Their only useful function is to cover the gap between the wall and the window or door. It's purely a decorative element, and this option might actually be the best solution since they're also warm. If the mixture starts to set, you can moisten it a little. It turned out that it's easiest to do the final finishing when it's already set. The main thing is not to take too long because the cement-based mixture gains strength quickly. Walls made of Penoplex turn out to be airtight, and that's the key to comfortable living. Good wind insulation eliminates drafts and keeps the heat inside the rooms. I always mix the mixture with a rotary hammer, and suddenly I tried using a screwdriver. I liked it. Right, if anyone knows, is this harmful for the tool? On such walls, as well as on gables replaced in this way, you can apply a huge number of finishing coatings. You can come up with especially many homemade options that are almost free, like brick, wood, stone, rough cast, or even crocodile skin. Since there are so many options for finishing decoration, we, the Eastern Slavs, and we Belarusians are a vivid example, tend to choose expensive and luxurious ones. I usually use the cheapest tile adhesive for this kind of decorating. However, I have a bag of adhesive for reinforcing insulation that's expiring in a month, so I need to use it up. This adhesive is only slightly pricier than the cheapest tile adhesive. Some viewers of the Yasha Kosiak Songs channel occasionally complain that working with extruded polystyrene foam objects takes them more time than they had planned. It seems to them that building a wooden toilet would be faster. First of all, each new innovative project is made significantly faster. Secondly, an outdoor toilet or a summer shower made from reinforced Penoplex is already a small architectural structure. Using such a toilet feels completely different. With pride in yourself for not being lazy and making something beautiful, instead of quickly throwing together a cold wooden box with gaps or a summer shower out of an old barrel on a shaky base. where you have to wash yourself at your own risk. Sometimes people write to me saying they're tired of the Mediterranean style of our architecture, and some people really don't like it at all. But I'm doing this for myself, not barging into someone else's property and decorating everything in the Mediterranean style they hate against the owner's wishes. So those who don't like it can choose whatever they like for themselves. There are tons of options. I draw the seams between the stones with a simple tool made from a piece of wire. According to modern trends for combined insulation of frame walls, there are options available for insulating with a solid layer of Penoplex, either from the inside or the outside. I don't understand what type the option I'm using belongs to, but I think everything will be great. Unlike mineral wool, Penoplex reduces installation time and significantly adds strength to lightweight structures. Airtight structures definitely need ventilation. The same goes for any non-drafty houses. This isn't a shed with gaps. Breathing walls are just a myth. If the walls are breathing, it means they have holes. I decided not to decorate the window trims at all, just to paint them. I still have enough colorants left from last season. I'm adding them to the white facade paint. Since the House for $1,000 project is gradually turning into a testing ground for ultra-cheap construction technologies, whenever I replace something with a cheaper and more advanced solution, I will subtract the cost of the old construction methods that I replaced. So everything will be fair. I hope that in the near future, I will be able to get an exact list of the right solutions that can lead to maximum construction savings when building ultralight houses. This time, bold colors have been chosen like never before. I messed up one of the stages. Usually my wife does the finishing touches that give the stones their volume, but she was busy. She later showed me how it should have been done. I used tinted acrylic stone varnish to cover it and realized it would work well. I stopped being upset. When applying varnish, I cover the seams first, then the stones, spreading it evenly to avoid drips. Despite the initially bold colors, the tinted varnish really tones them down. You need to use an almost dry brush to tint with white paint. I don't paint some stones. Gray is a great color. This is more relevant, and it's even better here. I'm always convinced that experience comes from making difficult mistakes. I used 12 sheets of Penoplex Comfort for this wall, and there are 13 in a pack. That's less than 20 square meters of mesh on both sides. 2 bags of adhesive for insulation reinforcement, 1 for finishing, half a liter of facade paint, 300 grams of varnish, half a can of adhesive foam. Whether it's expensive is up to you. For these results, I think it's quite reasonably priced. You can support the search for affordable construction solutions by clicking the sponsor button on YouTube. Viewers from Russia can do this through the Boosty service. The link is below the video. I'm going over the trims with a clear varnish. People often ask how our products and structures made of Penoplex are doing now. That's how it is. Spring of 2025, tall warm beds, a path. fence, a round, warm, tall bed, a plunge pool, mini pool. I'll fill it with water soon. Insulated, super efficient composter, outdoor Euro-style toilet, Eastern garden shower. The first floor walls of the house for $1,000. The wall of the second floor. Maybe it needs a little more tinting. Give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe to the Yasha Kosiak Songs channel. Join the V-Contacta group in Zen. All the links are below the video. Also, hit the bell so I can keep you updated. May world peace prevail. Thank you.